Welcome to Ponytails and Pep Talks, the podcast where blowouts, breakdowns, and breakthroughs are a weekly discussion. I'm your host, ReJeania. For over 3 decades, I've been behind the salon chair as a stylist, an owner, and yes, your favorite unlicensed therapist. I have heard it all. The tears, the triumphs, the you won't believe what just happened stories from courageous women overcoming incredible obstacles. So let's meet one of them right now on Ponytails and Pep Talks. Hello everyone, welcome back to Ponytails and Pep Talks. Today is part 2 with ReShay Rodgers and her story of survival, healing, and hope. And content warning again, just to remind you guys, we will be talking about domestic abuse, drug abuse, and make sure there's not little kids in the room. We will be talking about guns and things like that today also. So that being said, let's recap our story from last week.
Hey, girl.
Yeah. All right. So in 2011, in a little town in Texas, something not so great happened. Your ex-husband that had gotten himself messed up with drugs and not in a good mental state, very upset that he wasn't getting his way, decided to walk into her parents' home and murdered her father, shot ReShay several times, hoping that to take her life. She, after being on the floor, she really felt like God told her to run. That's all the words she could hear in her mind was just run. She got up, bleeding, hurt, dying, and ran to a neighbor's home. In the meantime, he began to murder her mom, leaving their 15-month-old in the home. And she got to her neighbor's house. They called the police, and I think that's about where we left off last week.
Yes, ma'am.
So after the neighbors called the police, and you had said it took a while for the ambulance to come and find you because it's so rural.
It was a fiasco.
Yes. So they loaded you in the ambulance, and at that point, did you lose consciousness or did you hear what was going on?
My vitals were slowly fading. That's when they realized that, it was pretty serious to get me on a Halo flight. So that's when they got me to the hospital in Beeville, Texas, which is a very small town in South Texas. Halo flighted me to Corpus Christi. So once I got to Corpus Christi at the hospital, I remember news crews just being there, like videoing the whole time. And they said one thing that I did, I waved at the news crews. And so it was pretty serious. I walked into the surgery room and the doctors, and it seemed like there was, 40 people in the room. Mm-hmm. And they just said, we're going to save your life, but you're going to go to sleep for a long time. Mm-hmm. So I knew that what I had ahead of me as far as my path was going to be real serious.
So what were your thoughts then, at that moment, other than, I'm sure you were thinking, about yourself and am I going to live? And what other thoughts crossed your mind? Were you thinking about your mom and dad? Were you thinking about your daughter? Or were you just thinking, I need to survive. I need to live through this?
I knew in my heart, God told me pretty much that my parents were at peace, that they had went to be with the Lord. Mm-hmm. And something in my heart told me that my daughter was still alive. And so it was just fight mode. I fought for her because she's my heart. My daughter's in my heart. And that's all I thought about was, Leo, just live for her and stay awake and just fight. Mm-hmm. So that's what I did.
It is, because God had a much bigger purpose set out for you. We talked about your parents were your rock. They were absolutely God-fearing people, raised you so wonderfully, and all of a sudden now, when the lowest point in your life at this moment, your rock is gone. Who stepped in? Who came in to, to help put this all back together?
I tell you what, I'll never forget it. When I was in the ICU, there were people lying down the halls waiting to see me. And at that point in my life, I realized, like, wow, there's so many people that care about me.
Yeah.
And one of the big people was, his name is Jesse Berthold. He grew up with my father, one of his best friends, and he is a pastor. And he was seriously there till the bitter end. And him, amongst so many other people, like I said, it was just, you never realize how important your life is until you're at that point that I was. And I've never seen so many flowers, so many people. Just, I couldn't be more grateful for the people I have in my life.
I'm sure all that energy of love, and of course the prayers, and because I'm sure there were a lot of people down on their knees knowing that you desperately needed that. So I'm sure that's comforting too, knowing that. I'm glad all those people were there for you, because this is now was just the beginning of this journey you were going to have to take.
Yeah.
How many days in the hospital were you this first time?
After I was shot, when I was in ICU, let's see, it was probably about 7 days in ICU. And so they had a breathing tube, and it was my goal to get out of ICU, because in ICU you cannot see children. They will not let children in there. And so all I wanted to see was my daughter. I just kept telling myself, learn how to walk again, learn how to breathe, learn how to do everything that was taken from me. And so I did. They got me on, the what they call the regular level. Where you're like in a regular room. And the first thing I said, I said, please bring me my daughter.
Of course.
And they brought her to me, and I remember her like pressing the buttons and, making things go off and stuff in the hospital bed. But it was so like euphoric, because that's what kept me alive, was her.
Mm-hmm. I can understand that, and thanks for sharing that. I want to tell you too, I so appreciate you being so vulnerable, with all of this, and I appreciate you being here. And since we've met, we've actually become very close very quickly. And I will say just the strength that you have to see from where you were then to where you are today is such a miracle of God. It's a true miracle. I see you have your buddy with you today. Who's with you today?
His name is Bigsby. He's been by my side for over 6 years. He is quite the squirrel hunter, but he goes everywhere with me. So he's on the podcast for a reason.
That's right. He's here today. He's offering his support for even nowadays.
That's right.
So now you're in the hospital. You now, you knew in your mind that your parents were gone, that your husband was gone, but now somewhere the reality had to set in of all of this. What was going through your mind as now you're thinking, okay, there's going to be funerals, or did they wait for that? How did you wrap your mind around that?
Yeah, going back to my dad's friend, Jesse Berthold, he basically just took care of everything. And, our family had so much loss, and he took care of the arrangements, and they waited until I got better and obviously was released from the hospital. And then up ahead of me, I had my daughter that I had to take all the way from San Antonio to Philadelphia. And so I had to accomplish that as well. So it was a waiting period of us getting better. And so there's really no way to describe in words the way that was. I mean, once I was shot, my jaw was wired shut, and I was missing a lot of teeth, and I looked like just something out of a horror movie pretty much. So I had to just stick it out and be there for my daughter because she needed me. And at that point, it was fight mode because you don't think about yourself, you think about your children. And so my daughter was always what kept me fighting.
So you had told me about while y'all were on the airplane, and here your face is done this way. Your daughter's having surgeries. She's not looking so altogether hot either. What did you tell the stewardess? Tell me that story.
Lord. So my daughter has a rare muscle and joint disorder called arthrogryposis. And at the time, she had hot pink casts on her legs. And here I am, jaw wired shut, look like something like I said out of the movies. And, the stewardess came up and she said, "Was that like a bad car accident?" And I was like, "Yeah."
That was much easier to explain.
And just went with that. So when you've been through what I've been through, you just fight because that's all you have left in you is just fight.
Yeah. So I wonder then, or you tell me you have been through a massive, massive, thing. What do you think God's purpose for all of this has been for you? What purpose do you see out there for this?
Well, my second purpose in life was my second daughter, Daxlin, and she was a miracle. And she brought me so much joy. And to have your body go through that kind of trauma and so many surgeries and procedures, and to come out of it, to be able to recreate what God gave us, which is Daxlin. And it was just a beautiful thing. And I'm forever thankful that God gave me her. So that's my purpose in life. I'm thankful that I was able to have her come into this world, and not only come into this world, but now she gets to bring others joy.
She does. God's purpose for you to be here is for those girls. And you may not even know at the moment what that direct purpose, will be. Also, though, you have been, once you've kind of started going through your healing, where did you start with your healing in the beginning? Therapy, friends, for your soul healing, for your mental healing?
Really, I didn't get a chance to really think about things. It was just put your feet on the ground and run because I had so much to do. My daughter needed me. She needed tons of medical treatment and surgeries ahead of her. So she's what kept me going, honestly. If it weren't for her, I don't know what I would have done.
You had a focus.
Every day I would hear her in her crib, and she would, Lael has always been so joyful, no matter her struggles. She's been joyful, and I would always hear her in her room down the hall, and I'll get up and go to her, and it was like our day would start. And there was never a beat that was missed because I live for her.
Right. You've made it your purpose. So what about nightmares? Do you have nightmares of that, or did you before and now not so much?
Yeah, I do suffer from PTSD after everything I've been through, and it comes in waves, honestly. I've been very grateful because I think once you get to peace with the Lord, obviously, and you have peace in your life, the people that you're around, that's a big deal. I'm very grateful to say that I don't have to take any medication, that I haven't had a nightmare in well over a year now. So I'm very proud of the progress that I've made in my life.
Definitely. So, also now, after you've kind of gone through your healing and gone through a lot of this, you've also been helping other women that have been in domestic and abusive, situations. How long have you been doing that, and what have you been doing that through?
I've been helping women with domestic abuse since right after all this happened to me. I was asked by a very dear friend, actually in the Bernie area, and did work with her. And it's like, what you teach women is to not be victims, be a survivor. And that's the goal. If somebody would have taught me that back in those days when I was a victim, I could have perhaps taken other steps. But, it's hard to confide in people that are your family because you're afraid of, you know, are they going to still respect me, or just a lot of different things. And so I still work with so many women, not just only in Bernie, in the Houston area as well, and their stories are just wild. If you think you've heard it all, you haven't heard it all.
I could imagine. So I'm so grateful that you're able to help them now. Have you had women that you ended up speaking, because you've done some speaking engagements and things like that, that maybe had not opened up before about the domestic abuse, and once hearing your story, it allowed them to be relieved and to come talk and to get help?
Oh yeah. Um it's always been an open door policy. I've always been a very open person, and that's why people gravitate to me, because they feel comfortable, like they can be themselves. And each story is different. It could be somebody's daughter, somebody's friend, a connection somewhere in their life, and they would call me up and be like, ReShay, this individual is struggling, and can you talk to them, or can you meet with them? And of course, the answer is always yes, because it's so near to my heart. Because if I can save one life, just one, then that's why God has me here.
It is, and I think that a lot of that is your purpose. God gave you the strength. Your parents gave you strength and love and wholeness growing up. And because of that, you're able to speak to these other women and be that beacon and be that light for them. And I know they're grateful, and I'm grateful that you're able to do that. So many people don't understand. Sometimes when people are in domestic abuse and things, like you say, they hate to open up because they don't know what their family's going to say, or sometimes their first answer is, we'll just get away from them. We'll just go. And someone that's never been in that position does not understand it's not that easy. What should we tell people that if someone does come to them and tell them, hey, I'm in this situation, or you're starting to see that, things aren't okay? What should we say to them? What's going to be the best help for them?
I remember a point in my life where I had to tell myself, ReShay, this is who you were before you were abused verbally, physically, and you have to remember who you were before somebody tore you down. And remember that you've got people that love you. Yeah. And an abuser always will take the people out of your life. They'll yank them out of your life so fast, like a clothespin. And that's the main thing, is to go back to who were you before this person basically ran you into the ground. You were probably successful, beautiful, vibrant, had a great support system. A narcissist doesn't choose a person that is, not a good person. They know how to pinpoint someone that is very good, if that makes sense. And so my advice is just remember who you were before this person tried to basically ruin your life. And the people that have always been there for you are still there for you. They're always going to be there for you. And you're always going to be loved. And I mean, look at me. I've got scars all over my body. And that doesn't matter.
No.
The people that love me, they say you're beautiful, and I am. And everybody that knows your heart will never ever question who you are. So hold on to what you know is near and dear, which is your support system, and they'll always be there. And you were a good person before this, and you'll always be a good person because God's got your back. Always.
Absolutely. I have noticed too with the narcissist or the avoidance, they all do seem to follow some of the same exact patterns. It's almost like they all read the narcissist handbook and go through it step by step. And truly one of the biggest, things, if we wanted to list a few things for people to be aware of, it's the isolation from your family and friends.
Yeah.
That pretty much is one of the number one things that they do, even from the ones that are kind of mildly narcissistic to the ones that are just over the top narcissistic. It literally is almost the very first thing. The love bombing is massive. And then they make you think that, oh, you're so wonderful. Oh, don't go over to your sister's house. Come stay with me. Let's go on a vacation. Let's do things. So, if we wanted to list, the top 5 things, for people to look for, and that would be, the love bombing, definitely the isolation. And then after they have you hooked and you're in love and you feel great and everything, then all of a sudden the nitpicking starts. And then see they're nitpicking you, but you don't have a circle of friends or family to kind of talk to about that. So then you have your own self with your mind that, your emotions start going, all over the place. So I want women to understand that this is the same thing, no matter the narcissism, the abuse, they all kind of follow these same steps. And, if someone finds themselves in that position, again, reach out. And for those of you that have not been in those kind of situations and you don't understand, and you're watching your family member, you're watching your friend, over and over going back to the same person, or not listening to what you're saying, have some patience, have love, just love them. That's the best thing you can do. Love them, let them know that you love them, no matter how many times they go back. You have to understand that the abuser changes the signals in your brain until you're confused. And the longer you're with them, the worse that becomes. So the best thing that you can do is love them and be there for them.
Yeah, my mother was my biggest supporter. I mean, both my parents, they were married for so long, almost 30 years. And no matter what, my mom and dad always had my back. Mm-hmm. And they would just pick up the pieces when it would crumble. And I mean, he would come after me and try to kidnap me, hold me hostage, anything you can imagine. And my mother, I mean, they were putting their own lives at risk if we stop and think about that. And they died for protecting me and my daughter Lael. And that's, in my opinion, the biggest thing in my life. My mom was my best friend, and my parents, they were best friends to each other. I mean, a lot of people can't understand how somebody could have such a pure relationship like the way my parents had. And watching them growing up was awesome. And I am forever grateful for the sacrifices that they have made, because now, guess what? They're in heaven and they're still together. They were together from the time my mother was 17, and they're still together. And that was a big deal in our small town in South Texas. It was always, you know, they said K&R, which is Kenny and Retha together forever. In fact, on our hometown stadium at the football game, they had K&R on the football field, because my mother worked up at the high school for probably about 15 years, and I was barely able to walk, and I was able to get up into the stadium and be part of that game and honor them and their legacy, because they truly did have a legacy. They had a legacy of love. And I'm very proud of that. And I'm sure that's very hard to think about now, because what would have been now with them still here? How incredible that would have been. I'm sure it was even more confusing to you in your marriage when this is the model you grew up in, and you're like, wait a minute, this is not the life that I'm living. When you were married and the abuse was starting and you were going through it, how was that confusion? Were you like, wait a minute, this isn't how it's supposed to be? I was so young when Lael was born. I was, 23, 24. And I remember my mother seeing some of the first abuse when she came to stay with me, when he started using drugs again. And she saw all the signs. And as soon as he walked out of the room, my mom looked at me on the couch and she said, "Don't walk, but run." She said, "Get out fast." And of course, I didn't want to, because I thought, we're going to have a family together. And, just, of course, Leo was born with special needs, and there was just a lot of logistics in the situation. But my family was so supportive. If it wasn't for them, my mother, she slept on the hospital floor with me in the hospital in San Antonio for like 4 or 5 days. And I couldn't have asked for a better support system. If it weren't for that, I wouldn't be the person I am today. I give my family all the credit for the heart that I have and the strength that I have, because they taught me how to be not only a good person, but morals. And just when you get down in the ground, get back up. That's what I've always been taught. So let's talk about some of your other family. You do have a brother. I do. Right? Yeah. And no other sisters or anything. You just have a brother. I am guessing that a lot of this really was traumatizing for him, and to the point even that y'all really don't even speak now, right? Yeah, my brother, he's a good man, and has a beautiful family, beautiful life. And it's, when you have to go through that, it's just hard. And so I wish him nothing but the best in life, because, like I said, he is a very, very good person. And I'm very proud of who he is. Is he an older brother or a younger brother? Older. Older brother. Yeah, just a couple of years. Yeah.
Do you worry that that maybe he blames you for your parents not being here? Like if you wouldn't have been married to, this guy, that your parents would still be here?
Um, my brother came to me actually, now that you bring it up, when I was in ICU and my jaw was wired shut. So I had to write everything down on paper. And he told me, he said, sis, I'm never going to blame you for what happened, the death of our parents. And, it was just so hard because both my brother and I were super close to our parents. They were like, my dad was his best friend, my mom was my best friend. My dad was his best man at his wedding. And, like I said, I hold my brother in very high esteem, very good person. So, you know, perhaps one day we'll find each other, and that would bring my heart a lot of joy.
Because he was the one that took care of your daughter for a little while when you couldn't,
He sure
right?
did. He and his wife did. And, they just sit it on a wing and a prayer. They didn't have any children, and they just stepped in and did everything. And, everybody pulled their weight. It doesn't matter, not no names mentioned, but everybody played a role in the healing process, whether they're part of my life now or not. It doesn't matter. I still respect them very, very, very much, because anybody that is willing to step in such a tragic situation, in my opinion, is a good person.
Absolutely. And your brother loved you, and
He's still
sister and
does.
stuff. And right. He loves you to this day. There's probably just a lot of it he's still processing.
He had a hard battle with his health, with dialysis, and just what they did for me was amazing. I'll never forget, like, when I showed up, I ran down a Caliche road about a quarter of a mile, and then a paved farm to market road, and I spit out my teeth. I was covered in blood. They said the trail of blood from where I had ran from my parents' door to my neighbor's house was just unbelievable. And I remember, like, once I got there, I'm like, thank you, God, I got here. Yeah. And he looked at me, and, obviously he had a lot of firearms. That's a thing in Texas. And he said, get down and y'all take cover. And that's when I found the towels to tie off my leg and kept myself elevated so I wouldn't choke on my own blood. He was just shaking as he had one of his firearms pointed at the windows, because we didn't know if,
if he would come there.
If he was coming, because there was a lot of gunfire after I had left. So God bless them. I know he had to have medical treatment after yeah, because he was a dialysis patient, and he was trembling, and
the stress of what happened.
It was a big deal for anybody involved. Of course, there's like news crews everywhere, and it was just a very, very wild situation for anybody involved. And it was so traumatic for my family, because my uncle, my father's brother, was on the fire department, so he had to respond, as well as my cousins, to the scene of the crime, as well as many people that I knew in law enforcement. So it was very, very personal
to everyone, to a lot of people,
to everyone.
Yeah, so just about half the town.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There was so many people involved that it was like everybody knew about it. After this had happened, to go like to the grocery store or anything, it was, you couldn't avoid it. Everybody associated, me with that tragedy. So that's why I moved on with my life, and was able to make a fresh start, and I'm very proud of that.
You should be, very much so. I should be very proud of just the person you are today. Just sitting here, you're an amazing person.
Appreciate it.
So now let's move forward a little bit. You got invited to come to Bernie to take care of your third grade teacher. How did that come about?
She was such a cool, super cool lady. I'm probably gonna get choked up talking about her because she was just awesome. I've got people in my life that my friends or my family, and I was asked to do this job and got to see her go to heaven here in Bernie, and she loved me very, very much, and I loved her very much. Super grateful that their family asked me to be part of their life and trusted me the way they did, and they still do, because it takes an immense amount of responsibility to take care of somebody, and you've got to just show love, and that's all I've known in my life is love. My parents taught me so much love, and I remember so many scriptures about, take care of your elders, and the Bible verse after verse, and I'm fortunate enough to have gotten to live through that and to have that stamp on my life that, hey, I did something that was extremely important and I'm super proud of. So I love the hill country.
Yeah, so how incredible though, this third grade teacher that's not from here, from your, young age, and then you're living here and around here, and then get to be with her. Did it feel like getting to take care of your mom? Did it kind of fulfill that little spot of, you didn't get to take care of your mom as she got older? And did it feel like taking care of your mom?
It was like just a godsend thing. I was super, super close to my mom's mother. We called her Granny, and I got to be with her a lot, and she taught my daughters how to cook and, just all kinds of different cool things in East Texas when I lived there. And it was like the whole time that I was with her, taking care of her, I could feel my grandmother with me. And of course, they were friends and they knew each other. They were both school teachers. And I could just feel the presence of my grandmother, like telling me, just keep pushing on, ReShay, because this is what you're destined to do, and this is going to leave a mark on your life, and that's what you do, is you take care of others, because you never know when your time's going to come. We're never going, none of us are going to live forever, and we have to take care of each other. And I think that that's one thing that I've been so blessed to be able to experience in my life, is being able to take care of others, whether it's my children with their health struggles, and somebody was always taking care of me with my health struggles, and just beautiful people that God has brought into my life. And I was like, for everything that people have done for me, you better step up. And that's what I've done, is step up, because
Yes, you have.
that's just why I'm alive, is to have purpose. And I'm proud of who I am.
And the thing is people either go one way or the other. Some people can go through this, they can't handle it. They don't have the strength, and they crumble, they hide, they eventually take their own life. So that is a different path that could have happened. But the being instilled from your parents and from your faith in God and helping others and seeing how you benefit other people's lives and the strength that you do have a right to be very proud of yourself.
Yeah, I give all the credit to, I've said it many times, I come from a long line of love my parents loved each other very much, and grandparents and great grandparents. And I give the credit to my upbringing is just seeing such a beautiful way to love. And love, my mom used to say, love unconditionally. No matter what, love unconditionally, because that's what's going to get you through the hard times.
So, you've kind of answered some of that. I was going to ask you about if your mother was standing right in front of you right now, what do you think her words would be to you?
My mom she was a character and very strong-willed and just a beautiful heart. And my mother she would say, I think, baby, no matter what, you have been nothing but an overcomer. And it doesn't matter who you are. Life is ugly, and it doesn't matter if you think that you've checked every box in your life. I've done this right. I've done this right. There's things that go wrong. When things go wrong, you have to learn how to be an overcomer. And that's what my mom would tell me is, baby, you're an overcomer. And I know that I'll see her in heaven one day. Everybody I love. And until then, they just better hold the seat because I'm going to keep rocking and rolling.
They are. Yeah, they're watching over you. What about just Dad's big hugs? Do you miss hugs from Dad?
My dad was so cool. Like the most patient man. He was oil and gas business, most patient man you've ever known. Musician. He was a great drummer. Loved life. I mean, just always just there for you, no matter if you were friend or family. And yeah, my dad, I miss him very much. But I know that he's with my mother. And if there's anything to say about my father, it's that when God took him home, I knew without a doubt that I had peace in my heart because I knew where mom and dad were going. There was no doubt about it. And so my father he left a legacy, both of them did, at such a young age, at 53 and 49. Everybody will remember them for their kindness and their good hearts, for opening up their home to friends and family. And everybody knows that my parents' place was the place to go. It was the hangout, and everybody was welcome, and always just such a good place to be. And I'm so proud to be from such a beautiful family, honestly.
I think I feel super jealous that I get to meet these people.
They would have loved you.
I think I would have loved them very much, but I am grateful though that I got to meet you.
Me too, girl.
Is there anything else that you want to say to people out there about what happened, or where you're headed now? What are your joys now? What do you look forward to? What does your future look like to you?
My future right now is I want to help whoever is in my path. And I know that that's God's purpose, is just sharing my story and letting not just whoever's watching this, but the next person that sees, my name, or, is going through something, to know that you're worthy and you're beautiful. And those are things that you have to keep in your heart. And no matter what has been told to you, that you're going to get through it. I got through it, and here I am today. So just always keep your head up. That's my advice. Keep a smile on your face and keep your head up because good things are coming your way.
I have a quote that I have down in my kitchen that I try to live by every day, and that's always believe something wonderful is about to happen. You know, even though you went through this tragedy one day, you know, the amazing thing was all the people that stepped in. There was always things happen. They're going to in our lives every day, but always look for that wonderful thing that's going to happen. And I think that's what you do. You know, yes, this happened, but you know, my neighbors stepped up, my friends stepped in, love continued, you know, to flow, and you were able to look for those wonderful
Or
things.
just like, look how I met you
Yeah.
going to get my hair done after, 6 months of not getting it done.
At all.
And, look at the way that God works. You never know what is going to happen next, but you have to trust. My famous verse in life is Proverbs 3, verse 5 through 6, which is trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean on him, and he will give you the right paths. In fact, you know, I've got a little tattoo on the back of my neck that has my daughter's names, and that's what it says, because that's since my daughter was diagnosed with her disorder, that was the first verse that I read, and I believe in that until the day I die, because without it, we're lost.
Right.
And I lean to the cross, and I give God all the glory, because without him, we would be nothing. So
that's right. That's what it says. Lean not on our own understanding, because in our mind we don't understand why in the world this could have happened.
Right.
But you know, he does have a path for us.
Always.
Stories like this, you know, remind us that the human spirit can endure things that we absolutely cannot even imagine. I wanted to give you guys the phone number to the abuse hotline. And that number is 1 800 799 7233. And that is physical abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse, psychological abuse. If you are feeling unsafe, and maybe you don't even know why, but you're confused and you feel unsafe, there are people out there that will talk to you. You don't even have to give them your name. Also, if you guys would like to get a hold of ReShay, leave a comment and leave a way that we can connect with you. And she will be glad to give you a call and help walk you through, you know, anything, pray with you, talk with you,
Right.
find a direction for help. So, guys, I hope that this story has inspired you, you know, to that you understand that bad things do happen. They do, but the human spirit and God in your life will give you that strength. Just know, just keep hoping, keep believing, and you will find the strength to continue on. Okay. Until next week, guys, we love you. We pray for you, and reach out when you need to. See you next week.